All right, today we're on the Chapter 7 review notes for the final, and this was exponents. So remember all those exponent rules and the graphs. So let's start with the rules. So the multiply rule, when you have, let's see, something like this, 4x squared times 5x to the ninth. When you are multiplying, so 4 times 5 is obviously 20, but when you're multiplying same bases, you add. So it's 20x to the 11th power. The divide rule, let's say we have 15x7 divided by 3x2. All right, so let's say you're dividing. So 15 divided by 15 divided by 3 is 5. We know that. But when you're dividing same bases, you subtract. So 7 minus 2 is x to the fifth. The zero rule, any number or variable to the zero power is always 1. Negative exponents is if your exponent's negative, drop it like it's hot. If it's negative on the bottom, then you bring it to the top. So for example, 2x to the negative 3, the 2 would stay, but the x3 would drop. And when you drop it, it becomes positive. And then the distributing rule, let's say you have 4y squared x cubed squared. You got to distribute it to every single piece. All right, now 4 squared is 16. But when you do exponents, a power to a power, you multiply. So it's going to be y4 x6. So I'll run through some of these real quick. So when you're multiplying, you add. So it would be x to the 14th. When you're dividing, you subtract. So it would be x to the third. When it's on the outside, you distribute. 2 to the fourth is 16. But for the x's, power to a power, you multiply. Number 4, only the one with the 0 power becomes 1. Everything else stays. So it's 5y squared. Number 5, we have to distribute to the numerator and everything in the denominator. So 2 squared is 4. For the x's, power to a power, you multiply to get 6. On the bottom, 4 squared is 16. And then y also gets squared. And then we're not really done because 4 and 16 reduce to 1/4. So final answer is 1x6 over 4y squared. And then number 6, if your exponent's negative, you drop it like it's hot. So that means the 2y stays, but the x4 drops. Okay, on to exponential graphs. Remember, if the base is smaller than 1, it's a decay. And if the base is bigger than 1, it's a growth. All right, so all we have to do is plug in the x values. So let's do number 7. So it's 6 times, parenthesis, 1/2 parenthesis. First, we're going to raise it to the 0 power. And that's going to be 6. And then we're going to raise it to the first power. So I'm just going to go up and edit and make the 0 a 1. And that's 3. And then we're going to raise it to the second power. So I'm going to go back and edit and make the 1 a 2. And that one is 3/2 or 1.5. And then you just have to graph it. So 0, 6 is here, 1, 3 is here, and 2, 1.5 is here. And then remember, it's a decay, so it's going down, and it's never going to cross 0 unless it's negative. All right, so number 8 is very similar. Oh, it's a review. Let's do it. So number 8, we're going to plug in -1. So it's 4 times 2 raised to the -1 power. You get 2. And then we're going to have to raise it to the 0 power. You get 4. And then we're going to raise it to the 1 power. And you get 8. Oh, sorry, you couldn't see that. All right, -1 comma 2 is here, 0 comma 4, and 1 comma 8. And a growth, again, will never cross 0, but it will be growing from left to right. All right, and then the next page is the equations for the growth and decay models. And a growth model, this is if you're given a percent rate. A growth model is y equals a times 1 plus r to the t power. And a decay model is y equals a times 1 minus r to the t power. We actually just have been doing these. And then don't forget the rate. You need to convert it into a decimal. All right, so number 9. You deposit $200. That's A. Earns, you know what, this is a typo. This should be 4.2. 4.2% interest. If you move it 2 spots to the left, it's 1 plus 0.042 and then to the t power. And then we don't know what t is, so we're done. Number 10, you deposit $200, that's A, but you're losing money, so it's 1 minus 5% if you move the decimal 2 spots is 0.05, and then again to the t power. Okay, so those are those models. And then identify if it's growth or decay. Super easy. This one is a growth, and this one is a decay. Now, as far as the rate, so since this one's bigger than 1, then that means that 1.13 is really the 1 plus r. So if you wanted to solve for r, you would just subtract 1, and r would be 0.13 or 13%. Now 12 is a little bit harder. Since it's a decay, the 0.7 is 1 minus r. So if you were to draw the wall here and -1, -1, you would get -0.3 equals -r. And then you would divide by -1 both sides. So r would be 0.3 or 30%. Okay, so that's if they ask you to find r. All right, that was chapter 7. Thanks for watching.